That's kind of the earliest memory of reading for Hi, my name's Dom. Welcome to my channel. So for today's video, I thought it was about time I did a proper introduction to myself and to the channel and the content you can find on here. So at this point, it's traditional for a booktuber to record what's known as the Booktube Newbie Tag, but I'm not really a traditional person, and also I don't actually like a lot of the questions that are on there or the order they appear in. So I'm going to kind of do my own thing. I've taken the traditional newbie tag as a base, removed a couple of questions, reorganised it and added my own in there as well. So rather than discussing the questions, let's get straight into them. And what I'll do is I'll put the questions in the description box below so you can see what they are and skip ahead to ones that you're more particularly interested in hearing answers to. So the first question is all about me. Who am I? So my name's Dom, I'm from the UK, I live on the south coast of England with my wife, 6-year-old daughter and 2 cats who fortunately have now settled down. I had video problems, I had camera problems earlier on, but when I was recording originally they were charging around like lunatics in the background, so all you could hear was little claws on carpet as they were scrabbling around the room. Question 2, what do I like to read? And I guess by extension of that, what do I not like to read? So if you've seen any of the videos on the channel already, particularly my bookshelf tour, you'll know that I love fantasy. That is basically what I read. I read the occasional bit of sci-fi, but other than that, it's pure fantasy for me. In terms of the genres or subgenres of fantasy that I like, pretty much anything is a given unless it falls into a couple of categories. One of those is urban fantasy. I'm not really interested in that at all, and the other is anything that's kind of got guns or too much technology in it. I guess what I'm looking for is escapism in my reading, so anything that looks too much like our world, whether it's actually set on our world or it borrows too heavily from us, it's almost like an instant turn off for me, and I find it difficult to get into those books. In terms of other genres, they may as well not exist to me, really. I don't mind a bit of horror or thriller or anything along those lines within a fantasy, but I don't read those genres on their own. I just have no interest in them, so things like classics, any contemporary fiction, I'm not really interested in it. You like what you like, and I like fantasy. So the next question is back to the traditional list, really. When did I start reading? Well, as far as reading for pleasure goes, my earliest memory I have is around about 10 years old or so. I borrowed my dad's copy of The Lord of the Rings and started to read that. A couple of years later, I was reading various books from the library. My mother gave me a copy of a book that she'd taken out from the library, which was Blue Moon Rising by Simon R. Green. This is a kind of a light-hearted, almost it's not comedic fantasy, but it's got definite comedy elements in it. She thought I would like it. She was right, I did. And from that point on, really, I developed this love for fantasy and started reading it as my go-to genre. So I'm going to be 40 next month, so if you work that out, that's over 25 years of reading fantasy. And to be honest, for all of those 25 years, up until the last couple, I have read almost exclusively fantasy as well. I can literally count on one hand all the non-fantasy and non-sci-fi books that I've read during that time, and it's only in the last couple of years that I've started to add sci-fi into that reading scope as well. So moving on from that, who are my favourite authors? So the main one for me definitely is quite a new author for a lot of people, but that's John Gwynne. I've been reading his books since Malice came out nearly 10 years ago now. Loved it at the time, and I've read all of his books that he's released since, buying them as they come out. If you've seen me anywhere else on Instagram or on my blog or on Discord, you'll know this already, but yeah, I would recommend John Gwynne to anyone who gives me the time of day and the opportunity to give them a recommendation. Another British author that I like is Adrian Tchaikovsky. I think his work is really interesting. He's released a number of fantasy and a number of sci-fi books over the last few years. He's really prolific. And he's got a really interesting take on characters. He's kind of known as a bit of a master of the creepy crawly. His characters often have characteristics of spiders or various insects, even if they're, to all intents and purposes, human characters. And occasionally his characters are actually spiders or insects as well. So it's an interesting take, and it makes his books a really interesting read as well. Following on from that, my next question is authors I'd like to read or like to read more of. So I'm going to start off with, well, I'm going to give one of kind of each of those. I'm going to start off with Robin Hobb as an author I'd like to read. I've heard so much over the years about Robin Hobb's books, loads of people recommending her, and I've just never gotten around to trying her out myself. I actually started yesterday reading Assassin's Apprentice, so I'm finally getting on that bandwagon, and I'll be able to cross Robin Hobb off my list shortly, and hopefully I'll be enjoying her and reading lots of her books. On the other side of it, the who would I like to read more from? I think for that one I'm going to go with Brandon Sanderson. I like his work. Mistborn Era 1 at least, is one of my favourite series. I really like the inventiveness, and that magic system is probably my favourite of all the magic systems I've experienced. I've read a few of the others as well, Elantris and Warbreaker, and I've also read The Way of Kings, but I haven't carried on with the Stormlight Archive, and that's one that I really want to do. So there's a few other books that he's released as well. Some I'm not interested in. Some of the young adult ones are a bit more focused on kind of our world, so I've already indicated that's not really in kind of my wheelhouse. I did try, was it Alloy of Law, the first book in Mistborn Era 2, but guns in that one really turned me off it, and I couldn't get into it at all. So for me, there may be one or two others that are available, but the main one is the Stormlight Archive, which at some point this year I promise myself I will get into that and start reading Words of Radiance and potentially the other two as well. So the next question is going back to a traditional list, and it's all about the channel itself and why have I started it. The easy answer for this one is because Megan told me to. It's kind of a joke on Discord, but one of my good friends on there, Megan from Megan's Reading Revelations, she's kind of been gently pushing me to start a Booktube channel, and by that I mean she's suggested it and she's kind of run with it when I've said I'm thinking of it, and really been supportive and trying to get me to this point, really, I guess. The other reason is the more personal reason for me. So I've been reviewing the books that I read on a blog for several years now. I've moved on to Instagram earlier this year because I really wanted to be more involved in the community, to have more discussions back and forth. And on the blog, you don't really get that opportunity. It's not really such a wide audience, and also there's no real opportunity other than someone replying in a comment for having discourse. So I moved on to Instagram, made some great friends there. You've got the opportunity there to have a bit more of a conversation and a bit more of a, not quite real-time conversation, but it's a lot better than other things like the blog. From there I got an invite to Discord, and it was a world that I knew about but I hadn't experienced. I just avoided it for no real reason, really. But since making my way onto Discord, it's a further step forward. You can have those real-time conversations. Again, made some great friends, had some great chats about fantasy books. And then, yeah, this gives me the next opportunity because I can talk at length that I can't do on Instagram because of the restrictions on there. And I can do a lot more. There's a lot more freedom, basically. So the third real reason for me is I've been watching Booktube for quite a while now. I really sort of picked it up since I've been working from home due to the pandemic, just watching videos in the background whilst I've got the laptop in front of me. And it was kind of, it was a world that I didn't really know existed. So I really wanted to jump on and kind of join in there as well. But for me, I was just looking for people who shared my ideas, shared the same tastes as I did, and obviously everyone's got their own individual tastes, and that's fantastic. But I struggled to find someone who really closely matched my tastes, and I've got a few friends now and a few channels that I've subscribed to who relatively closely match those, and I watch most of the content from them. But the one thing that I did find is there weren't many UK-based booktubers who shared my tastes. Of all the ones that I've found, there's only Abby Salter, who I would say is an established UK-based booktuber for fantasy. And then there's the brothers Gwyn, who've come along in the last couple of months as well. I haven't found any others who have similar kind of taste. Obviously, that's just my experience though. So if you're a UK-based fantasy booktuber, or if you know one that I've not mentioned, drop their name down in the comment, a link to the channel, and I'll go check it out, because I'm always interested to meet new people who share those similar tastes. Next question, what kind of content should we expect from me on the channel? For me, I've kind of said before, it's about the two-way discussions there and opening up the discussions, the recommendations for fantasy books. The other main one is going to be book reviews, where I'm going to try and do as many video reviews as I can and really showcase the books that I've been reading. So the other thing, I've done various recommendations on Instagram that have gone down well, whether it's a top list or a best opening book in a series or something along those lines. So I'll be looking at doing that over here on Booktube as well. So the next question is, what am I looking forward to? And to answer that, I've kind of got a lot of what I'm looking forward to already, so it's just going to be building on that, and that's the community interaction. So me getting involved with the community and being able to give back. That's one of the key things that I'm here for. To go along with that, a specific thing I'm looking forward to, I've signed up for June's readathon over at Shelf Space, the Olympics. So I'm really looking forward to reading some books, obviously, to go along with that. But for the chat and the kind of camaraderie there of the team and of other teams as everyone's discussing the books that they're reading and kind of planning out what they're going to do. It's really, really impressive for me. I've not come across, well, I've heard of Shelf Space, but I've only recently joined it when I was eventually tempted to join the readathon. But it's amazing to me that it's such a massively active community, and the level of chat already as we're leading up to the start of the readathon is just immense. It's really great to see so many people talking about and recommending books and giving suggestions and giving answers when people are asking questions. It's great, and I'm looking forward to lots more of that, so I can't wait. So I'm not going to do the same as a lot of people. I'm not going to record a video of a TBR saying what I'm going to read or try to read for each of the prompts. There are 16 of these as well for the 16 gods that are involved in this readathon. So that's quite a lot of books. I'm not going to even attempt to read 16. I'm not that fast of a reader to be able to do that, and I've got too many other things on that would get in the way of that. What I'm going to do is kind of what I normally do anyway, which is just pick up whatever book I feel like reading at the time. So I'll read one book at a time, I'll finish a book, and then what do I fancy next out of the list of all the books that I've got available to read. The prompts on the readathon are vague enough that pretty much any of the books that I pick up to read, I'll be able to put into one of those categories anyway and fit one of those prompts. So I should be absolutely fine with that. But it suits me because I don't like to have a set TBR. I'm very organised, but in my reading, I've never really thought about it. I guess it's a bit like being a mood reader. I will literally just make my decision, maybe when I'm a few pages from the end of the book, as to what I'm going to read next. And then the last question, again, going back to the original Booktube Newbie Tag, and it's all about the other people. So what questions would I ask of my favourite booktubers? So I guess for this one, it's about keeping the content fresh. So I'm going to do, as I've said, various book reviews, various recommendations. There's various tags that come out as well that people join in on and challenges, things like that. Outside of those things, how do you keep it fresh? How do you keep producing content that you enjoy and that your viewers enjoy? I think that's going to be one of the challenges for me, but we'll see how it goes really. The other side of it is the technology. I'm not the best with the video editing, so we'll see how that progresses as I get more used to it and grow my confidence both on this side of the camera and on the other side. But we'll just see how that goes basically. But I guess the question on that is, what tips do you have? How do you manage it? Especially for the time, it's going to get quicker as I get more experience with it. But yeah, I guess really, how do you find the time to do the editing side of things, and what can you do to make it quicker without scrimping on quality, I guess. So I think that's enough talk from me for now. Hopefully this video was okay for you and you're not too put off by me going off script and kind of doing my own thing with this, not the Booktube Newbie Tag. You know how YouTube works, so if you like the video, let me know by hitting the button below. Hit the subscribe button as well if you want to see more content from me and not miss when I do post a video in the future. For now though, thanks very much for watching. Take care. Goodbye.